Hello friends, and welcome to Escaping the Mouse with your host, me, Breck Rowell. Alright, we're doing another episode of Bytes and Nibbles with Breck today. This recipe comes to us from our friend John M. John was on a live stream a couple weeks ago and we were talking about food because we always seem to talk about food on the live stream. Everyone always says they get hungry when they watch my live streams. I wonder why. Maybe that's the reason I eat breakfast before I do the live stream. But anyway, he was talking about a great recipe he has for barbecued ribs in the Instant Pot. Now, you know I've become a big fan of barbecue. I love barbecue even when I was in California, but I've really doubled down on that since I became a Texan, because let's face it, you can't be a Texan if you don't like barbecue. And so I've done a lot of barbecue things over the last year or so, including, you know, buying a smoker and doing smoked barbecue. And that's worked really good. But one of the downsides of doing smoked barbecue or smoked anything is that smoking takes a long time. And sometimes I want barbecue now. I don't want it 8 hours from now. So when I heard that there was an Instant Pot recipe for doing barbecue ribs that had yielded pretty good results, I was definitely interested in it. So today we're going to try John M's Instant Pot barbecue ribs. Alright, so here are the ingredients for our Instant Pot barbecue ribs. First off, obviously you gotta have some ribs. 3-pound package of baby back pork loin ribs. So we started with that. Some Simply apple juice. The recipe actually recommended, this is optional if you want, but I decided to go with it. Some apple cider vinegar, a barbecue rub, some seasoned salt, and some barbecue sauce. Now the recipe specifically calls for a sweet barbecue sauce, but I'm more of a tangy barbecue sauce kind of person. And you may recall about a year ago I went and visited a local barbecue place called Rudy's Barbecue and bought a bottle of their barbecue sauce, and I've been using that a lot lately. In fact, when I was getting ready to do this one, I noticed that I didn't really have a whole lot. I wasn't sure I had enough to do this recipe. So I actually went over there this morning and got another bottle of that. So we're going to use that. We're going to use the more tangy barbecue sauce. I will include the actual name of the sweet barbecue sauce that John recommended, and you can make up your mind whether you want to use that or something else, but this is what I'm going to go for. Now this is interesting because it isn't an exclusively Instant Pot recipe. You do the primary cooking in the Instant Pot, and then we're going to throw it in the oven a little bit. And I suspect what that does, it kind of gives you a little bit more of a crispy coating on your barbecue. And honestly, it still sounds really simple, and I'm looking forward to the results. Now once you get the ribs out of the package, one of the first things you got to do, on the back side of the rib there's like a membrane that's still attached, and you want to get that membrane removed, otherwise the ribs are going to be really chewy and it's really hard to do it. And unfortunately this is kind of an unpleasant part of the job because it's kind of hard to do, but it's just one of those things you got to do. They recommend you grab the membrane with like a paper towel and try pulling it off. So that's what I'm going to do next. Now it turns out I am a long way from being Jeff Kidd on this. You watch him pull the membrane off of it, he just like grabs it and rips it and it comes right off. This wasn't quite that easy. I don't know, I think sometimes it might have to do with who prepares the ribs ahead of time, you know, at the butcher and all that. But I got the bulk of it off. And the next thing you want to do is just kind of pat it off with a paper towel. You want it to be dry, more or less. I mean, it's obviously going to be, it's meat, so it's going to be a certain level of moisture. And we're going to dry it off on both sides. Get a little bit out of the pan here too, just because that's just what you got to do. Flip it back over. One more drip off on this side here. And then we're ready to apply our rub. Now for the rub, for a 3-pound rack of ribs, they recommend about 3 tablespoons of the barbecue rub and 1 teaspoon of seasoned salt. Now I've got these nice little shaker jars that I've had for a while. And what I did is I just actually put it all in the same thing, kind of mixed it up a little bit, just so it's all together. And this is the rub that we're going to put on the meat. Now one of the things I've heard Jeff say when he does his videos about putting the rub on is it really isn't a rub, it's more of a pat. And so I'm just going to coat it nice and liberally here on one side. We're going to use about half of it on one side, and we're just going to kind of pat it down really good. Apparently that's really the secret to this. You don't want to rub it, you want to pat it. And we haven't quite used half of it yet, so let's put a little bit more on there. I'm going to flip it over, do the same thing on the other side. Get it on the edges. A little bit more padding. And since I still got a little bit more, I'm just going to put it on the front. And we are about ready. And basically the recipe says just kind of put it in there and kind of wrap it around the outside edge a little bit. Now, I have a very, very large Instant Pot. I have the biggest one they make. So if you have a smaller Instant Pot, you may actually end up having to cut your ribs in half and do it that way. That still works. It'll still work just fine, but that's how we're going to do that. Now, you know, the key to creating the pressure inside the Instant Pot is some sort of liquid. So in this case, the liquid is 3 cups of the Simply apple juice, 1/4 cup of the Apple Cider Vinegar, which he said was optional, and 3/4 of a cup of the barbecue sauce. So I've kind of mixed that together into my measuring cup here. I'm just going to kind of pour that in over the top here. And I'm going to put the lid on. And we are going to pressure cook for 30 minutes at high pressure. So pressure cook, set the timer for 30 minutes. And we are already at high pressure. And I'm going to turn off the keep warm button at the end. And I'll see you in 30 minutes. Now, you may recall about 2 weeks ago I did a snow day video. And in reality, from your perspective, that was 2 weeks ago. From my perspective, it was yesterday. So sometimes that's what happens when you shoot these videos. You want them to be a little bit more timely on certain things. So I had a couple of videos that were already edited and ready to go. And instead of doing those, I decided to push the snow day video to the front. So like I said, we're 24 hours later. It was kind of a nice sunny day today, although I don't think it really got much above 40 or 45 degrees. A lot of the snow did melt away. So it was a nice snow day, but it's over now. And the one snow day turned the pool water temperature from about 54 degrees to about 48 degrees. So I am even less likely to go swimming now. And since it was snowing yesterday, I decided to put a lot of food out for the squirrels, and they've clearly been making use of it. So that's good. That's why I do it. I don't want the squirrels to become dependent on me. I just want them to know that they can come here sometimes for a little treat. At the end of the day, we got about 4 inches of snow, and like I said, most of that's melted away. I'm guessing it looks like there's only about 1 inch now left on the roof. Should be gone by tomorrow. So it's starting to sound like the pressure is beginning to build up in there, and so in a minute we're going to see this little pink button pop up, and at that point we're starting to build the pressure inside, and once it gets up the pressure, the timer will start. And there we go. Pressure is building up. Once it hits basic pressure, the timer will start. Alright, so we've hit the end of our 30-minute cook time. Now, I've talked about the different ways of venting pressure on this thing a couple times, but I'm going to talk about it again. There's actually 2 basic ways. There's what they call natural or slow release, where basically you just don't do anything and the pressure will gradually drift out of there over a period of time, or you can press that little button on the top and quick release. Now, in this case, the recipe calls for doing a natural release for 6 minutes, and then a quick release after that. So I'm going to take advantage of this 6-minute time. We're going to start a little timer here, get that going, and while we're doing that, we are going to get our oven ready for the next phase of this. And basically what we're going to do is we are going to bake at 400 degrees, and that's going to go for 10 minutes. And I got to preheat my oven, so it makes sense to do that while we're doing the slow release and the pressure on the Instant Pot. So we'll come back in a few minutes and move on to the next stage. All right, 6 minutes have passed. We're going to shut off the timer here, and we are going to quick release the rest of it. Once again, we're going to press the button to quick release. Keep your finger away from there, keep your finger away from there, and away we go. All right, that's starting to look yummy, so I'm just going to use my tongs here. We're going to pull this out of here, and I'm going to put it on a foil-lined cookie tray. Kind of get it to lay flat here a little bit. And what we're going to do is we're going to coat it both sides with some more barbecue sauce. All right, so I've coated one side of it, and I'm just going to kind of make sure it's all over the place with my basting brush. Just want to make sure we have a good coating everywhere. Looks good, doesn't it? And I am glad I bought more of the barbecue sauce because I've used it up. And let's flip it over here. Oh, it's so tender, it's coming apart here. How good is that? Sorry, I gotta put the camera down. I need 2 hands to do this. All right, we're gonna coat on the other side. Just gonna put a healthy dose on there. Oh yeah, this is gonna be good. Once again, spread it around with my basting brush. Make sure we got every inch of it covered. And right before I started shooting this scene, I heard the oven tell me that it is ready. So we're going to throw this into the oven. 10 minutes. See you in 10 minutes. Alright, we're 10 minutes later. Let's see what this is all about. Oh yeah. Actually, I see a couple things I got to deal with here. In addition to that, I don't know if you noticed it when I put the ribs in, but when I opened up the oven, a whole big cloud of smoke came out. So I think I got to clean the oven. I think I probably got a little bit of the lasagna all over the bottom of it, and so we're gonna have to deal with that. Well, fortunately that's a self-cleaning oven, so we'll run a clean cycle tonight, and that should help. I was actually very happy it didn't set off the smoke detector, because sometimes smoke coming out of the oven does that. But don't those look yummy? Holy cow, that looks great. So I'm gonna let that rest for a couple minutes, and then we're gonna dig in. In the meantime, let's start a clean cycle. Now, the clean cycles are actually pretty cool. These are self-cleaning ovens, and what's kind of neat about them, what they do to self-clean is basically they raise the temperature in there to some massively high temperature, and it basically just cooks everything off the side of the oven and turns it all into ash. So in about 3 hours, when this cycle's done, I'm literally going to be able to open this thing up and just sweep out all the ashes, and it's clean. So let's go. Alright, I gotta admit, before I even taste this smells fantastic. I can't wait to try this. This has gotta be good. It is so tender. Oh yeah. This is amazing. I did this in less than an hour, and you know, it tastes like it's been on the smoker for hours and hours. Now, it doesn't have the smoke flavor, because obviously it wasn't on the smoker. But it's tender, it's flavorful, it's juicy. It is fantastic. I will definitely do this again, and I definitely, if you really like good ribs, like I said, you can mess around with the barbecue sauce that you want. Pick one that you want. This one's a little bit more tangy than maybe most people would be into. But I highly recommend this. This was a good idea, John M. Thank you so much. And I don't even want to talk anymore. I want to finish this up. So thank you as always for watching, and I will see you next time on Escaping the Mouse. Bon appetit.